whether it's a coach, a contributor, or whatever else. Really pleased with the honorees that we got here tonight, the new Hall of Fame members. They represent 4 families within this community that have significant impact to this community and have done so for many, many years. They're going to span a couple decades or centuries, or even, I guess, we still do that yet. But I'm not going to throw out their names. I'm going to let each of their inductors or their persons who are introducing them do those type of things. But we're going to start here, and we're going to start with Laura Slugby is going to introduce our first honoree.
Good evening. I would first like to take a moment to thank the Booster Club for putting this event on, and the many volunteers, coaches, parents, and fans who have supported Hornet Athletics throughout the years. I am lucky enough to be able to say I taught all 5 of this year's inductees, and I'm proud to say I was able to coach 3 of them as well. It's my honor to be introducing Katie Muller-Sweet. I was privileged to coach Katie in high school, and throughout that time, Katie was one of the hardest working athletes I worked with. Katie often was asked to do the dirty work, which no one else wanted to do, whether that be playing middle, stepping into set, or mixing it up in the paint. Any role you asked her to step into, she did without hesitation or question. She simply stepped up and worked hard to be the best player in that position. That is exactly how Katie competed in everything she did. She was the workhorse, the one mixing it up in the trenches and never asking for or expecting any glory. Her philosophy was she would do whatever was needed to help her team. She loved competing, she loved the grind, and she loved winning. Katie had many accomplishments throughout her high school career. She earned 7 varsity letters in volleyball and basketball. In volleyball, she received first-team all-conference honors for 2 years and was a member of 3 conference and regional championship teams. In basketball, Katie was a 3-time first-team all-conference selection. Helped win 4 conference championships, finishing with a 48-0 conference record throughout her high school years. Won 4 regional championships, 2 sectional championships, and her team made 2 trips to the state tournament. In 2003, they were the first ever girls basketball team from Richland Center to qualify, and in 2004, they won the silver ball to end her senior year. Beyond high school, Katie continues to share her passion for athletics and competition, as she has coached for the better part of the last 17 years. She was part of the Richland Center High School volleyball coaching staff as an assistant for many years, and coaches for our local club volleyball program. We are very lucky to have Katie giving back to our Richland Center youth athletes her passion for sports and instilling the same competitive work ethic she possesses in them. Katie was blessed to compete with a group of athletes who shared many of her attributes, and together, through their friendship, drive, and a mutual desire to be the best, these outstanding athletes are all Richland Center High School Hall of Famers. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to introduce to you an amazing lady who for the past 22 years I was lucky enough to coach with, and am proud to call my friend, Katie Muller-Sweet.
First of all, I want to express my sincere thank you to the Athletic Booster Club for this recognition. It is truly an honor to be included in this year's group of inductees and be in the company of those that have been recognized in the past. Okay, short and sweet. Sharon's got a bet on how long it takes me to cry, so we're gonna roll. I wasn't the first to cry, that counts. When I was a kid, I was painfully shy. I know, hard for anybody to believe that's talked to me in the last 25 years. But as a 7-year-old, I clung on to my parents like a wood tick, and I was probably about as appealing. So here I was, an awkward 2nd grader, and my parents pushed me into youth basketball at the old high school, and I never looked back. I didn't want to listen at the time, but let me take this moment to tell you they made the right call. I got lucky with Pat and Emily Elliott as my first coaches ever, and that sealed the deal. I've been in the gym ever since. Talk about right place at the right time. Over the years, the same girls I started out with in youth basketball became my teammates in middle school, traveling teams, and eventually high school sports. We played volleyball and basketball together year-round, and I don't know that there has been a team since that was together more than we were, both on and off the court. I am so proud of us individually, but I think what made us special was that we were better together. We were all individually talented, individually competitive, but we knew that as a whole, we made each other better. No one was getting away with any slacking off anywhere, and we held each other accountable no matter what we were doing. I feel so lucky that I got to be a part of that. One year, Coach Board made us team shirts that said Synergy. None of us knew what that meant, and we all got made fun of for wearing them. But man, it was accurate. We were better together. Playing in sectional finals and competing at state only happened because I was surrounded by those girls and those coaches. So thank you to Sarah and Erin and Brittany and Leah and Jen and Dania and all the other girls that made me better and still feel like family to me now. And thank you to Seltz and Steve and Chris and Jamie and Michelle and Pat and all the other coaches and Dave, he's on here, for the countless hours you put in to push us to be better. All the 6 and 30s and animal walks and quarters that we ran were worth it, but I'm not saying that about the lunges. Those were awful. I also know I owe so much of our success to our parents. My parents spent countless hours in the car and sitting in bleachers, shuffling us from gym to gym with siblings in tow. And now that I have my own second grader here with siblings in tow, I know how hard that is. So thank you to my mom and dad for making sure I got where I needed to go, usually on time. And thank you to my sisters for being along for the ride and being our little managers and for letting me coach you on and off the court. I've also gotten to coach here in Richland Center, both basketball and volleyball, and I have loved working with so many kids over the years. Being in the gym has always been my happy place, maybe not right now, but sharing my love for Richland Center sports with these kids has been such an honor. I truly feel so blessed to have grown up in this community and to have been lucky enough to play sports with the teams that I did. I was in a gym with the same teammates as a senior that I started with as a second grader. We were all best friends and became like family. Still to this day, some of my favorite people, and you hold some of my best memories. And now my husband and I are raising our kids here, and I can't wait to see what their future brings for them here at Richland Center. Thank you to my babies. Thank you to my husband and my mom and my dad, my sisters, for being my village and letting me make any excuse I can to be in this gym. In closing, thank you again to the Booster Club for this honor, and thank you for all that you all do for Richland Center Athletics. This community is so lucky to have you. And for all the days it goes unsaid, thank you so much from all of us Hornets.
We started off with a bang, and we're going to go to another bang here with Pat Elliott doing the next introduction.
It is my great pleasure to introduce Sarah Mulholland Smith as an inductee into the Richland Center Athletic Hall of Fame. Sarah started out as a freshman. She learned 12 varsity letters. So that doesn't mean many sports there. 3 times 4, you got it. Every year she lettered. If she wasn't busy enough, she threw rodeo in just for a sidekick, which she did for all 4 years. She was probably the ultimate team player. Never argued, didn't worry about the points, didn't worry about anything else. Went out and played with defensive intensity she brought to the table every time. She was just a phenomenal athlete, worked hard all the time. You never had to worry about her energy she was going to put out. She was on the volleyball team for all 4 years. She brought that 3 conference championships, 2 regional conference championships, team's most valuable defensive player 3 years in a row, and her senior year she was first team all-conference. They made sectionals in '02. In basketball, she was unbelievable. I'm more familiar with basketball because I coached for all those years with her and Katie. The year we went to state tournament, we had 2 6-footers plus a 5'11". One of the leading rebounder on the team was Sarah. She was the biggest pickpocket you've ever seen in your life. She could find a way to somehow come up with a steal any way, shape, or form. Her girl may have been the other side, she could always get back to that. She was just had that knack of getting to where she needed to be at to pick the ball off. A couple games I'm going to remember was probably the Rchsburg game here. Rchsburg was playing very well. We were playing pretty rotten. But that's when they used to have 4 quarters. There was I think there was 38 seconds left to go at the end of the third quarter. We came down, hit a 3, put the press on. Sarah got a steal, hit it to somebody else who hit another 3. We had another steal, got it to Sarah, she hit a 3. After she hit the 3, she stole the inbound pass and laid it in. In 38 seconds, we scored 11 points. And after that, we took care of business the way it was supposed to be done. The other game that I'm going to really relinquish is the game against Columbus. Sarah we had a little injury earlier in the year, January sometime. Our point guard went down, Brittany, and Sarah had to step up and be the point guard, which is not an easy job to do. And she took it on herself and handled us in this Columbus game. She was sick. She went to the hospital, got an IV, and we were ready to play. We were ready to play. And Columbus was a 2-time state championship. They had 2 years before that. We beat them by 8. I've never been involved with a game that was that loud and intense for the whole time from start to finish. If any of you were there, which I assume a lot of you were there, it was the craziest game I've ever seen. You couldn't hear yourself. The coaches, we were on the bench, we couldn't even holler at the girls because they couldn't hear us. It was so loud. So we got cards out to look at it. In her basketball career, she had 4 conference championships. She only lost 1 conference game her whole 4 years in high school. We were regional champs in 2003, 2004, sectional champs in 03 and 04, state runner-up in 04. She was 3 times honorable mention in basketball and first team her senior year. Softball, she was regional finals in 02 and 05. We're in the Team Hustle Award for 3 years in a row. Was all conference in 05. Still holds a school record for triples that were hit. Then she went on to her rodeo career. She made the national goat tying go-round champ in 05 as high school. She made the finals in goat tying. It was 4th in 05. State championship goat tire in 02, 3, 4, and 5. State championship breakaway roping in 04. State all-around champion in 03, 04, and 05. Reserve champion was 02. She qualified several years for the nationals in that. After her high school career, she decided rodeo was kind of fun. She decided to go to Wyoming and compete in the big-time rodeo. She was national goat tying champ in 09. She was a member of the national women's team in 09. They were champions. She had the national women's all-around 3rd place in 09. National breakaway champ 7th in 08. She was on the national women's team for 4th in 08. Regional breakaway roping. So she's got a ton of awards that she continued on to this day. It is my great pleasure to introduce the next inductee into the Hall of Fame, Sarah Mulholland Smith.
So after learning about my induction into the Richland Center Sports Hall of Fame, I couldn't help but reminisce on my time spent at Richland Center High School. Some of my fondest memories came from my time playing sports at Rchs. Many may not know, but volleyball was one of my favorite sports, and practicing was just as fun as competing, thanks to Sal's. I love nothing more than having balls drilled hard at my face, and still to this day I love digging balls at rec league. When I look back, one of my favorite memories was the last game we ever played. I remember my mindset. No one was going to block me and no one was going to get a ball to land on the floor. To this day, I still love the game of volleyball and am an avid college volleyball fan and hope to attend the 2023 NCAA championships with my mom, Echo, and my daughter this winter. I will secretly be wishing I was 19 in the libero. Basketball was a different story. I much preferred a game versus practice. Thanks to the late Martha Tenney for keeping the frozen pizzas and chips and dip and cherry Pepsis always stocked. She kept us fueled. We spent many grueling hours in the gym, but it was all worth it as we made our way to the state championship, or to the state tournament, not once, but twice. Playing in front of a large, rowdy crowd was an exhilarating experience that really was not just once, but twice in a lifetime opportunity. I love nothing more than to swipe a ball from a tall girl's hand when she forgot to keep it high, or running down a rebound. Playing defense was my bread and butter. I can still hear Coach Ford slapping his hands and yelling, "Catch the ball!" You can imagine us girls secretly rolling our eyes saying, "Coach, we know to catch the ball." His emphasis on perfection and attention to detail led to one of my favorite quotes, "Practice makes permanent," and has served me well in my lifetime. To this day, I still watch basketball and I'm a big Warriors fan, but please know I was a fan prior to their success. As I look back at my softball career, I am thankful for Coach Armstrong for being such a kind and understanding coach that allowed me to play ball and still rodeo. I still remember my freshman year, I was up to bat. I turned to Coach Armstrong at third base, smiled, and brought home the winning run. I love nothing more than a good diving catch or running down a ball. A few years later, I played summer softball and I didn't really know anyone on the team. They put me as catcher, and anybody that knows me can imagine what I was thinking. Rodeo was the sport that defined me, and some of my greatest life achievements came from the sport of rodeo. Rodeo has paved my life. As a little girl competing at Little Rchs Rodeo, my dad was paying me for each win. That didn't last long as it became too costly. I went to Central Wyoming College in Riverton, Wyoming, 18 hours from home, knowing no one except for the 3 horses I brought with me. I felt like I was living in outer space, a big change from the life I was used to. However, one thing did not change, and that was my work ethic. And let's just say I didn't get outworked. I chose Central Wyoming College after I attended a goat tying clinic my junior year of high school. Not many people can say they picked a college because of a goat. I laugh now because though rodeo paid for my college, my parents could have sent me to med school for the amount of money they spent on horses, trucks, and trailers they purchased along the way. Attending college in Wyoming led to my biggest life accomplishment, winning the National Finals College Rodeo in the goat tying and being a member of the national women's team, a goal I had dreamt about since I was a child. My sports career at Richland Center High School instilled some characteristics that are deeply ingrained in me: hard work, dedication, and determination. I played alongside girls who shared similar characteristics, and I didn't realize until later these girls were extra special and not the norm. I was very lucky to be surrounded by high caliber teammates and friends. Because of my determination to achieve my goals, I returned to school for a doctorate degree in nursing, becoming a psychiatric nurse practitioner in 2017. 3 years later, I decided to start my own company, which I quickly realized required similar characteristics needed to be successful. I would not have had the success I have had today without Richland Center High School education and the push and expectation of excellence from all of my head and assistant coaches. I would like to specifically thank Selves, Coach Ford, Coach Armstrong, Coach Elliott, Coach Keller, Coach Ryder, Jamie Johnson, Dave Ewing, and my mom for the impact they have had on my life. I would like to thank the fans that made the experience so special, including some of my favorites, Mrs. Stafford, Mrs. Olson, and Mrs. Tiller, and the one and only Mr. Lewis. Eric and the Richland Observer for never missing a game and always willing to take my picture even as I've aged. Phil Nee and Ron Fruit at WRCO for bringing games to our families, including my late great-grandpa and all of the fans. I would like to thank my parents for all their sacrifice and support. They were always there. Thank you to my dad. He instilled grit and my competitive edge. He always said, show no mercy. When they're down, kick them one more time. Thank you to my mom, who helped me balance school, sports, and rodeo, and doing her best to keep me on time and always driving fast. Thank you, Richland Center High School. I am grateful for the induction into the Hall of Fame. For the young people, set your goals high. Know there will be a lot of sweat, sacrifice, and tears, but the journey will make the accomplishment even more fulfilling. May we all keep our competitive edge in life, strive for excellence in our day-to-day, achieve our goals no matter our age, and help instill greatness to our youth and our community. Thank you very much.
One of the unique parts of my task of notifying the new inductees is talking to their parents or their coaches or whatever. And I do have to share a story that Chris shared with me. She goes, it was always interesting to be having the horse trailer in the parking lot warming up while Sarah was finishing her softball game. Okay, our next presenter and introducer will be a longtime coach. You look at his name up there on the board there, Mr. Harlan Flick.
Thank you. This is a night for Danny and for Garrett, but it's also a night for parents, cousins, nephews, and everybody else that's been one way or another involved with the Betesnik family. So I hope I don't screw up these names too badly. Uncle Mark and Aunt Lynn opened their home up to us for all of the camps we attended in the Illinois area, and there were many of those. I remember Greg would run down, grab a couple poles, come back, a couple of weeks later, run down, get a couple poles, come back again. Other family in attendance are Chad, Shay, Jody and Brian, who are aunts and uncles, Paula and Dick, Debbie and Tim, Shay and Kayla, Gary, one of the things that he mentioned, and they were cousins. Gary Schwartz brought a box at a garage sale, vaulting box, and decided to start pole vaulting again at the middle school. And the rest is history. It's an honor to be asked to give the induction ceremony speech for siblings Danielle and Garrett Betesnik as they enter the Richland Center High School Athletic Hall of Fame this evening. This is her first for the Hall of Fame, as two siblings were so outstanding in their given event, the pole vault, that Danielle and Garrett decided they wanted to be inducted into the Hall of Fame together this evening. Since two Betesnik children will be into the hall this evening, I claim the right to make this induction speech twice as long as anyone else's. So sit back, relax, and let the story begin. First, I have a concession to make. I know very little about pole vaulting. I couldn't fill a thimble worth of information on the subject. The first school I coached at didn't have vaulting equipment, and the second school didn't have a pole vault coach. After 6 years of teaching and coaching stateside, I moved to Asia, where I taught at international schools for 19 years. I coached track and field teams in Asia, but international students don't pole vault. International student athletes throw the javelin. I've coached for 50 years, but I remained blissfully ignorant of anything to do with vaulting until I finally met the Vitesnik family after my wife and I moved to Richland Center. For me, the ability to coach the pole vault continues to be a riddle wrapped in mystery inside an enigma. It took Greg Vitesnik, an outstanding vault coach, to decipher the hieroglyphics that remain a mystery about pole vaulting. As I was writing this introduction, it became abundantly clear to me that vaulting was always a Vitesnik family affair. It's impossible to separate Danny and Garrett from their parents when it comes to becoming involved with vaulting. Each parent played a role in the development and success of both Danny and Garrett. Let's start with Danielle, who has always gone by the shortened name of Danny. I was recently reminded that Danny has always been very humble. She would rather shun the spotlight, preferring to let others enjoy the limelight. Normally, that would be okay, but not tonight, Danny. Not tonight. Tonight is a night for you to bask in the spotlight one last time and enjoy all the accolades you so justly deserve. I always started track and field warm-ups in the high school gym at 3:45 promptly. Greg Vitesnik would, on rare occasions, show up around 3:30, 15 minutes early for warm-ups. It's nice when you own your own business and can occasionally slip out the door unseen before official closing hours. In one of our first practices, Greg asked if it would be okay to talk to the vaulters. Greg mentioned a vaulting camp in Madison or Rchs or some other Wisconsin location. Would any of the vaulters want to go to the camp? Immediately, hands would go up, and soon the Suburban was loaded with 5 or 6 kids, vaulting poles lashed to the van, and off they would go to a vaulting camp, while a foot of snow and ice was still on the ground. I would sometimes follow in my car to show support for the athletes. I would see hurdlers, high jumpers, and relay teams practicing exchanges, all seemingly having a good time. But it was the pole vaulters who seemed to be having the most fun while soaking up instruction from Greg. Good coaches make average athletes better through initial instruction in middle school track and field. Great coaches create opportunities like Jump Fest at Mequon Homestead High School, the Whitewater Indoor Championships, and the Senior Spotlight Meet at the end of their senior season. Danny only vaulted 3 years in high school. As a freshman, Danny set her sights on becoming a member of the high school volleyball team. Danny injured her back in early practice, an injury that would bother her for the rest of her high school career. Her entire freshman season was lost. Some athletes would have given up on sports, but Danny prevailed as she started preparing herself for her sophomore season. Danny would come back with a vengeance in 2008, her sophomore year of vaulting. She placed first in the SWAL conference meet, third in regionals, first in sectionals, and state in the state meet. This accomplishment was bettered in her junior season when she was first in conference, first in regional, first in sectionals, and first at the WIAA state meet in La Crosse. Her winning vault in the 2009 state meet of 10 feet 9 inches was the highest height cleared in any high school division. If winning the state pole vault competition is the pinnacle of success, I believe it is fair to say that in 2009, Danny Vitesnik was simply the finest female high school vaulter in the state of Wisconsin. As a senior, Danny finished first in conference, first in regionals, first in sectionals, and second in the state meet. Danny's resume after 3 years of vaulting is as follows. Danny was a 3-year letter winner. She broke the Richland Center school record 8 times. Danny had 36 high school first place finishes. She recorded the highest vault in the state competition in all 3 divisions in 2009. In 2010, she was the Wisconsin Track Coaches Association Indoor Pole Vault Champion at Whitewater. Danny was a 3-time All-Conference selection and a 3-time Wisconsin Track Coaches All-State Team selection. I would be remiss if I didn't mention other Richland Center female vaulters who placed in the state meet. Michaela Lau placed all 4 years in the state meet, 4th, 3rd, and 2 second place finishes. Sabrina Scoville placed 4th in the state meet. Abby Renish was a state champion vaulter in 2017 as a junior after finishing first in conference, regionals, and sectionals. Abby may well have been a 2-time state champion in 2018, but COVID reared its ugly head, and the WIAA dropped all spring sports competition. As a result of the COVID restrictions, Abby was not permitted to compete in what would have been her senior season. She would have been the prohibitive favorite to capture the second state crown. Has any other Division II Wisconsin high school ever had as many female WIAA state place finishers? Those statistics are not readily available, but I find it hard to believe that another Division II Wisconsin high school could top those statistics. What I do know for certain is that Danny Vitesnik had an outstanding vaulting career, and she is eminently qualified to be in the Richland Center High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Now, let's turn our attention to Garrett Vitesnik. Let's start with Garrett's high school years. As a freshman in 2005, Garrett finished 4th in the SWAL conference meet and 6th in regional competition. In his sophomore year in 2006, Garrett was again 4th at the SWAL conference meet. In 2007, the SWAL conference meet, Garrett placed 1st. The 2007 season was the finest boys track and field team in Richland Center High School history. Garrett would finish 1st in the SWAL conference meet, 3rd in regionals, 1st in sectionals, and 1st in the state meet. Ryan Tidridge also had an outstanding state meet, placing 4th in the pole vault. Combining the 16 points in the pole vault and 30 points that Paul Anir garnered in the high jump, long jump, and triple jump, Richland Center amassed 46 points and was the 2007 WIAA State Championship track and field team. In 2008, on a nice spring day, Garrett was out for a ride on his motorbike. He hit some loose gravel, spun out, and crashed. The bike landed on his leg, causing a severe injury. Weeks of rehab offered little encouragement. There were ice baths, swimming in the pool, and electric stimulation. Days backed up into weeks, and the calendar kept turning over. The SWAL conference meet would come and go, and Garrett was still not physically able to pick up a pole to vault. The 2000 WIAA regional meet was the first time Garrett attempted to compete. Garrett somehow managed to gimp down the runway and managed the fourth place finish in regionals, which qualified him to compete in sectionals, a mere 4 days away from a level of competition that would be much greater. The pole vault competition is often one of the first events of any track and field meet, but is also often the last to be completed. A crowd had gathered as night descended on the WIAA sectional vaulting competition. 4 athletes had already qualified for the state meet, and Garrett had 2 misses and only one last vault left to make it over the bar. He switched out of his running flats and put on his spikes for a final attempt. He moved gingerly down the runway, climbed the pole, and soared over the bar. His tie for 4th place qualified him for the state meet as an extra qualifier. Garrett had 1 week left in his senior year of competition. Sue Vitesnik was a family scribe. She was the recorder of athletes' makes and misses. At the state competition, Sue would sit high on the bleachers across from the pole vault runway with her glossy WIAA track and field program, a silent vigil, pen in hand, as she recorded makes and misses. When the first state competitor faulted after 3 consecutive vaults, Sue would take her pen and check off that vaulter on her official program. She would spend the next 4 hours deleting vaulters, crossing off names until there were only 2 vaulters left in the competition. When one of those 2 vaulters finally failed on his 3rd attempt, the only name that had not been crossed off on her official program was Garrett Vitesnik. Garrett had won the state track and field pole vault competition after clearing 14 feet 6 inches. The 2018 team would finish second in the state tournament, and Garrett, although not completely healed, would finish second in the pole vault. The 2-year Richland Center track and field runs of 2007 and 2008 would be the finest in school history, with 1 WIAA team championship and 1 runner-up finish. Garrett would vault 15 feet 7 inches in high school, which still remains the Richland Center school record today. 2 weeks after graduation, Garrett would vault in the senior spotlight meet in Illinois, pitting the best senior high school vaulters from Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, and Minnesota. Garrett would finish, eclipsing his high school record by 2.5 inches. Garrett's high school statistics are as follows. In his freshman year of 2005, Garrett finished 4th in the Swall Conference meet and 6th in the WIAA regional competition. As a sophomore, Garrett would finish 4th in conference, 3rd in regionals, 2nd in sectionals, and 5th in the WIAA state meet. In 2007, Garrett finished 1st in conference, 3rd in regionals, 1st in sectionals, and 1st in the WIAA state track and field competition. In 2008, Garrett was injured and not able to compete in the Swall Conference meet. Garrett finished 4th in regionals, 5th in sectionals, and 2nd in the WIAA state meet, coming back from that injury. Garrett was a 4-year letter winner. He broke the high school pole vault record 5 times. Garrett had 26 high school first place finishes. Garrett holds the Richland Center High School indoor and outdoor records of 15 feet 0 inches indoors and 15 feet 7 inches outdoors. In 2008, Garrett had the 6th highest jump in state history. Garrett was a member of the Wisconsin Track Coaches Association All-State team in 2007 and 2008. Garrett was a WTFA indoor champion in 2007. In addition, he was a 4-year letter winner in soccer, honorable mention all-conference in 2006, and first team all-conference in 2007 and 2008. These high school accomplishments alone would merit his induction in the Richland Center High School Hall of Fame tonight. However, he didn't stop there. After graduating from high school in 2008, Garrett would matriculate to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, a Division I university, on a track and field scholarship. UW-Milwaukee statistics. Garrett holds the UW-Milwaukee's second highest vault in history at 16 feet 8 inches. Garrett was the Horizon League indoor champion 2 times. Garrett holds the indoor record of 16 feet 7 1/4 inches. Garrett was twice Horizon League Athlete of the Week. Notable finishes at the university level. 9th place in the Sea Ray Relays, 3rd place finish in the Mount Sac Relays in California, and 7th place finish in the Drake Relays in Des Moines, Iowa. Garrett was ranked 85th in the nation in the 2013 NCAA Division I pole vault. Reflections. I think there's real value as we get older. Take time for reflection. I think there's value in reminding ourselves of where we have been, what we've learned, and the people that have helped us along the way. I hope both Danny and Garrett take the opportunity to think about their own journey through life now that they have their own young family to raise. I know how fortunate I feel for the opportunity to have coached alongside Greg Potesnik and how much I learned from him. We were both jump coaches. Greg coached vertical jumps, while I coached horizontal jumpers. There is a small spit of land between the triple jump runway and the bull wall runway. There's a green space sparkling in the afternoon sun. After my jumpers were done with their drills, I would send them up the track to do some track work. I would wander over to that green space once or twice a week and spend a couple minutes talking to Greg. His practice was well underway. Vaulters in a line waiting to vault. One of the vaulters was staring down the runway, mentally counting his prescribed strides. Off he went, knees high, human pistons increasing speed with each stride, metal spikes grabbing a rubberized carpet. The vaulter would plant the pole and drive a knee into the air as the other leg dragged behind. The pole would bend as kinetic energy was released, and the vaulter was shot through the air, perpendicular to the pole, as the vaulter sailed over the bar. The vaulter was falling, temporarily untethered from earthly bounds, defying the laws of gravity, mass, and acceleration. The athlete landed in a pit, a shot of adrenaline coursing through his veins, as he looked up to see the crossbar still untouched on the standards. The vaulter, flat on his back, shouted, "By God, I made it. I finally made it." I knew as certainly as I stood in that green carpeted landscape. A master class in session, and a master teacher who was in his element. I so enjoyed those 5-minute conversations every week. I still enjoy the memories of those sessions today. Excellence in coaching never was out of style. Danny and Garrett, you've both been state champion vaulters, and Garrett a collegiate champion. Even through injury, you both persevered to reach the very top of your event in a combination of years of work. It is my extreme pleasure to welcome you both to the Richland Center Athletic Hall of Fame. Congratulations, and very well deserved.
Thank you, Coach Flick, for the introduction and being here tonight. I've always enjoyed your speeches and pep talks. You are a great coach and leader and have always been so supportive. Thank you, Kirk and the Booster Club, for organizing this. Congrats to Katie, Sarah, Travis, and Garrett. Also, thanks to everyone that is here tonight supporting this amazing event. I think a lot of us here can agree that our long-term memory is a lot stronger than our short-term memory. Like, I don't know what I did yesterday, but somehow I can recall things that happened over 10 years ago in my athletic career and school experiences. These memories include working with my dedicated coaches and teachers, fun times with my teammates, my failures and achievements, and most of all, the unconditional support from my family, including my grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. My dad encouraged me to try pole vaulting in middle school. If I didn't want to try it, it would have been a hard conversation to avoid because he was also the coach, so I didn't really have a choice. Just kidding, Dad. I was happy to try it because my brother was doing it and my favorite sport was gymnastics, so I was already used to flying in the air. Shout out to my gymnastics coaches, my mom, Aunt Sherry, and Monica Renish. I continued to pole vault in high school, and luckily my dad continued to coach me. I still remember the camps that we attended, the structure of our practices, and some really cool but challenging first place finishes, like my first place finish at the state meet in 2009. More importantly, I remember the way my dad coached me, my brother being my teammate and mentor, and my mom cheering us on, making sure we had the best meals and the warmest blankets during those early spring meets. She also did the important job of videotaping our jumps so that we could watch them back with my dad to improve our form. Pole vaulting is a difficult sport, and my dad had the ability to meet me where I was as an athlete and help me gain new skills to achieve new heights. In pole vaulting, you have 3 chances to make a height, and if you miss it, you're out. So I had to be focused and resilient. When we went to camps, I would watch my dad talk with other experts in the field to help him learn and grow as a coach. Camps and practices were fun, but also hard work. It was important to listen to the coach's advice and persevere. My dad maintained great relationships with other coaches in our division, and my teammates and I were friends with pole vaulters from other schools. We were competitive with each other, but respectful. I didn't realize the influence that these memories would have on me until I left high school, continued my education, and became an elementary school teacher. I'm so thankful that I tried something new in middle school. And because of the support from my family, coaches, including my volleyball coaches, the best trainer, Sharon Pansky, my teammates and teachers, I was able to stick with it through the good and challenging times to have these unforgettable memories. I want to encourage students listening to this, no matter what your personal circumstances are, to focus on your education so that in the future you have the ability to do what you are passionate about. Reflect on your mistakes so that you can learn and grow from them. Take risks like joining an after-school activity or just asking for help if you're struggling in a class. All of these things can get you out of your comfort zone. And that's where you make the memories that guide your behavior, form relationships, find purpose, and help you cope with the good and the bad that comes your way. Thanks for listening. Go Hornets.
Most of them are up on the banner there. Harlan Flick, Paul Wurtzma, Rick Piasecki, Claire Haig, Bob Rosenkrantz, Monty Bauer, Lane Kronk, and Greg Vitesnik. You all played an invaluable role in my success as an athlete. I want to give a special thanks to my parents, Sue and Greg. They sacrificed a lot of weeknights, weekends, and practices, meets, driving me all over the country from 2001 to 2008 for open meets and camps. In college, it only escalated. They made it to about every meet I competed in, from Ohio to Tennessee, Kansas to California.
As a teenager, I didn't really realize the amount of time and money and energy that they committed to me and my sport. Looking back at it now, it's absolutely insane, and I owe them for my successes. Their dedication and tireless efforts helped me reach new heights and push past my limits. Without them, I would not be standing here today. I'd also like to thank my extended family for all their support. Most of them are here today as well. My grandparents who couldn't make it or are deceased, and aunts, uncles, cousins. They made it to many of my meets, and they always gave me a good boost of performance, hearing them cheer for me in the crowd. So where it all started, similar to my sister, it was the summer going into middle school and the track program. Gary Rchs was getting the track program going again, and we were going to have a pole vault program, so my father thought it was mandatory that I become a pole vaulter as he once was. So it was, I think the year was probably like 2001, and we caught word of a sky jumpers camp held at UW Stevens Point, and it was like a 3-day clinic, and he convinced me that I needed to go. So we went there, and we had no great knowledge of the sport or the technicalities or any of that kind of stuff. We kind of just went there and soaked it all up. Got to stay in the dorms for a few nights. It was like a 3-day clinic or something like that. We met lots of people who we're still friends with today. As you might assume, I had a blast and I was hooked. His plan worked. We attended many of these sky jumper clinics over the next 7 years, along with many others as well. I decided not to go out for any winter sports in high school so that I could dedicate my winters to pole vault training, camps, and open indoor meets. With hard work, precision coaching, and the assistance of puberty, I eventually started winning. Midway through sophomore season, I began out-jumping the seniors in the conference. Little did I know that the next season, I'd be earning a gold medal performance at the state meet, along with a team championship. The first men's team championship in school history. Thanks to Paul Lanier, Brady Ewing, and Ryan Tidrick's incredible talents, we won the state meet with just 4 people, while second place team had 20. Paul Lanier and I fueled each other to keep raising the bars. We often went to the same open meets in the off seasons. A couple notable competitions with the Junior Olympics and the Nike Outdoor Nationals. It was great to not only have the support of our families, but the support of a friend and a fellow athlete present at these events. After high school, I attended UW-Milwaukee and studied business management and marketing. I received a scholarship to pole vault there as well. Some of my achievements there were meeting my wife, Demi, several semesters on the dean's list, many victorious conference championships, and 10 years later, I still hold both the indoor and outdoor Horizon League conference records. None of this would have been possible without the foundation I received from my parents, coaches, and teachers at Richland Center High School. Athletics were a huge part of my life for those 10 years, but a very short period of my life in the grand scheme of things. The education I received and the friendships I made will last a lifetime. Again, I want to thank my family, coaches, teachers, and community members who supported me and my teams. I'm very honored to join this group of athletes and coaches. Go Hornets. Thank you.
I think you can see, as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, these are some pretty awesome families. And when you talk to these families and you read their plaques here tonight, the one thing that really stood out and impressed me with the 2 Vitezniks, or called Danny Wagner too, we make sure to get that in there, but is the things they wrote about their parents and their families. And this last inductee that we're going to have tonight is going to be presented by his father, Earl Wilson.
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Sarah, Katie, Danielle, and Garrett. I had the pleasure of watching them ever since 1st and 2nd grade when they competed in Richland Center youth basketball stuff and all through their high school careers. It's my honor to introduce, this is hard, son, Travis Wilson, is a 2023 inductee into the Richland Center High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Travis is a 1998 graduate of Richland Center High School and a 2002 graduate of Mount Mercy University in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, with a degree in secondary education. At Rchs, Travis was a 4-year participant and 2-year letterman in football, basketball, and baseball. In 1998, his senior year, he was honorable mention all conference in baseball as a first baseman, a recipient of the Marine Scholar Athlete Award, and recipient of a Mount Mercy University Presidential Scholarship. During his time at Mount Mercy, he served as a student assistant for the men's basketball team for several years. Upon graduating from Mount Mercy and returning to Richland Center, Travis served as a varsity assistant for the 2002-2003 RCHS boys basketball team, coached by Jamie Johnson. Then in 2003, Travis took a job coaching the UW Richland campus boys basketball team. And luckily, I had the pleasure of helping him for 1 year. He continued that until 2006. After marrying his wife Krista, he moved to Reedsburg and continued a career in sales. Then he decided, with Krista's support, to follow his heart and re-enter the sports world by joining a recent internet startup, the Wisconsin High School Sports Network. As content manager, WSN, partly under his leadership, has become the #1 online source for high school sports in Wisconsin. Travis eventually was promoted to the position of general manager and football writer. During this time, he also accumulated tens of thousands of contacts with high school athletes, coaches, administrators, and officials. He maintains regular contact with the WIA, college recruiters, and officials, and hundreds of coaches in local print and media. There have been and I can attest for him being dedicated to this, because his family will tell you that there are very few family holidays, weddings, or birthday parties where Travis didn't spend half his time on his phone, either researching data, entering scores, writing articles, or networking with colleagues and sources. If you attend a sporting event with him, he will suddenly disappear, and you will find him in a deep discussion with a professional contact somewhere on the other side of the gym. Sorry, I lost my spot. Travis knows everybody that's anybody in Wisconsin high school sports, particularly in football and basketball. While covering Wisconsin sports for WSN, Travis has served on the executive boards of the Wisconsin Football Coaches Association and the Wisconsin Basketball Coaches Association. He was honored by the WFCA with the Dave McLean Distinguished Service Award in 2015. The plaque he received for that and entering the Hall of Fame, Football Coaches Hall of Fame as a contributor, hung in the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame in Green Bay. In 2019, he was selected by Coach and Athletic Directors Magazine and the National High School Coaches Association as a top 40 under 40 years of age honoree. He's appeared on numerous radio and television broadcasting programs. These include appearing on WRCO as a color analyst from 2003 to 2005, as well as weekly call-ins that continue to this day with Phil Nee on the morning show and the sports shows. He has appeared on Lacrosse TV doing preseason previews for lacrosse area football teams and leagues, high school football teams and leagues. He's appeared on Madison TV talking about high school sports. He's the host of Football Friday Nights, a syndicated recap of high school football scores and news. And every year at the last Green Bay Packer home football game, Travis represents the Wisconsin Football Coaches Association and hands out the State High School Football Coach of the Year Award at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. And this whole ceremony gets put up on the big scoreboard at Lambeau Field. And I got to be there with him, and it's quite an honor and pretty exciting. In addition to these accomplishments, since his early middle school days, Travis has been active in youth and high school sports as an administrator, coach, and referee. He's coordinated football and basketball and baseball leagues, tournaments, and tryout camps for Richland Center and Rchsburg youth and summer programs and high school college football prospects. He's umpired Richland Center and Rchsburg youth baseball and high school baseball and softball. He's refereed youth and high school football. He's refereed Richland Center and Rchsburg youth summer and high school basketball. He's refereed at St. Paul Peter's Lutheran School, where his two boys attended, at the Richland Middle School, and for high school games, tournaments, and leagues. Travis is the WIA's certified official for baseball, softball, football, and basketball. Travis has also coached, besides the coaching at Richland Center and coaching at the campus, he's also coached for over 6 years in youth football and basketball and baseball in Rchsburg. And he helped coach a lot in youth basketball when he still lived at home. Plus he coaches the boys' 5th through 8th grade basketball team at St. Peter's Lutheran School in Rchsburg. This is the real hard part. As his father, I'm so proud of his athletic professional achievements. But I'm more proud of the man he's become. He's a loving son, a sportive big brother, and a devoted husband to his wife Kristen and 2 sons, Brett and Brock. He is a great teacher and role model for young athletes and coaches, always promoting good sportsmanship, hard work, respect, and love for whatever sport they are participating in. I want you to know, Travis, that your mom and I, Krista, Brett, Brock, and your brothers and sisters, nieces, nephews, friends, colleagues, and all of Richland Center are so proud of you and honored to share this day with you. You're now welcomed as a member of the Richland Center High School Athletic Hall of Fame, class of 2023. Maybe I shouldn't have picked my dad. First of all, congratulations to everybody up here. Danny, Garrett, Katie, Sarah. I had the honor and the distinction of being able to watch most of you in your athletic careers, and it was a very deserving honor for everyone. There are a great many thank yous tonight. I'm going to try to get to all of them. Thank you, first of all, to the Richland Center High School Athletic Booster Club. This is an incredible honor that I will forever cherish. I know that my exploits and my accomplishments on the field and on the court weren't necessarily Hall of Fame worthy, though I am very proud of the effort that I gave and the things that we accomplished. I was never the most talented, the tallest, or the best, but I tried my best to make sure no one cared more or gave more or worked harder than I did. As a 1998 graduate of Richland Center, I had the unique perspective attending the old high school for 2 years and the history and uniqueness of that old building and the new high school for the first 2 years it was open.
During that time, I had the distinct privilege to have some incredible teachers, coaches, and mentors in Richland Center that have and continue to play huge roles in my life. That includes teachers like Mr. Lewis, Mr. Thied, and Mr. Olson, who helped stoke my love of history, Ms. Kintz, who has led an incredible choral department for many years and took me in as an untalented singer, and yet allowed me to be part of choir, swing choir, and the musical. Coach Rick and Coach Harris, two Hall of Famers who helped me get started in my football career, and I was honored to get to know on a more personal level after I graduated. And they continue to serve as mentors, and I very much appreciated that. So many other great teachers as well, from Washington School to Trinity to Doudna, the middle school and the high school. I have to thank other coaches also that were so instrumental along the way as well, including Wayne Morgenthaler, Bruce Wilson, Mike Davis, and especially Jamie Johnson, my very first high school coach of any kind in freshman basketball. Also freshman baseball coach, varsity basketball coach, friend and mentor during some great times and some challenging times as well. I have to give a special thank you to Phil Nee and WRCO Radio, not only for the incredible career he's had promoting and covering high school sports in all sports in Richland Center and beyond, but also giving me my first opportunity in sports media when he let me be the color analyst for boys basketball broadcasts. He's been a great friend and supporter of what I've gone on to do, and I'm eternally grateful. To my teammates in baseball, football, and basketball over the years, it sure was a lot of fun. From growing up playing Kennedy ball, to freshman basketball road trips, blaring No Diggity and Dixieland Delight, that's quite the combination, to the special memories like winning at Lancaster in football, or running out to the band playing championship, to just the daily friendships and interactions that make high school sports so special. Luke, Neil, Dave, Woody, Wirtz, Ryan, Nick, Kyle, Brad, Joel, Brian, John, Todd, and so many others. Truly, friends of years, friends of tears. As most of you know, I've had the great fortune to be able to continue working in high school sports for the last 15 years at wissports.net, and it has allowed me to continue my passion and have some very memorable experiences. I've been courtside at nearly every boys and girls basketball state tournament game for the last 15 years, tonight notwithstanding, and every single high school football state championship game. I've seen and gotten to know and interact with tremendous players, many of whom have gone on to great success in college and even professional sports. I was about 20 feet away when Sam Decker hit one of the most famous shots in state history to win a state championship. I've been on the sideline watching several future NFL players up close. Through it all, the relationships I've been able to develop are what I remember the most, however, especially with the coaches that we were able to work with, many of whom I consider great friends. None of that would have been possible without some great teammates along the way, especially Nicholas Kartos, the founder of WSN, who allowed me to take a leap of faith back in 2008 to join as a content producer. Mark Miller is a Hall of Famer as our boys basketball writer. He's at the state tournament in Madison today, and someone I looked up to very much. Rick Hamilton, Norbert Durst, Laura Ritchie, Colton Wilson, and many others have played a big part in our success over the years as we've continued to build something that we're all very proud of. When I received the call last year that I was selected for induction to the Hall of Fame, I got pretty emotional. It took me a few minutes to be able to share the news with Krista and our boys. When I called my dad to tell him, that was the hardest. It was hard to get out, to be honest with you. And I remember my dad asking me why. Was it, some kind of validation or proving something to people? And certainly there was some of that, but most of all, it was being able to do this and have this for our family, especially my parents. My mom and dad grew up not really having much. My dad was one of 6 kids raised by a single mother, but in a house with a lot of love and caring for other people. My dad is the one who introduced me to sports, and like so many other athletes, was my first coach. My mom had parents that raised 5 kids in a cramped, small house in Allison Park with a work ethic like you wouldn't believe. And those of you that know my mom know that she's the toughest 5'0" mama bear you'll ever meet. As a parent, I'm going through many of the same things they went through as your kids get older, get involved in sports, and start experiencing the successes, challenges, and failures that come with that. It certainly makes you appreciate what they went through even more, the sacrifices made so we could have opportunities, and an understanding of what it is like to feel the agonies and the heartbreaks even when you yourself don't even know what's happening. Mom, Dad, this is for you. And it's for the whole Wilson family. Robbie, Colton, Taylor, Mackenzie, their kids, their spouses. As the oldest of 5 siblings, I was aware, but also very proud, to be the one that my younger siblings looked up to. As my friend Steve Jones, who won 6 straight football titles at Kimberly, always liked to say when I talked to him, pressure is a privilege. And it was a privilege to be able to set an example for my brothers and sisters and support them as they took up the family business. No, not quality ripping, but basketball. While I'm still disappointed that not all of them followed in my footsteps and wore number 23, the 5 of us combined to play 42 sports seasons at Richland Center High School across football, basketball, baseball, soccer, and volleyball, earned a total of 26 varsity letters in all sports, and played 15 seasons of varsity basketball. This is for the entire crazy Wilson bunch as well. To my wife Krista, thank you for supporting me as I pursued this career, even when it comes with challenges for our family. Driving to an office in Madison every day for several years while the boys were very young, or trips away to cover high school sporting events, you carried the load so often. Thank you, and I love you. Finally, to our boys, Brett and Brock, I want you to always know how incredibly proud of you we are, and how much we enjoy watching you do things that you love. I know it hasn't been easy with your dad as your coach most of the time, but you're doing so many great things, and we love you. You motivate me every day to try to be someone that you can be proud of, even as your old, lame dad. With that, I'll wrap things up. We can move on to some more celebration, and leave you with the same thing I've told every team I've ever coached. Work hard, have fun, in that order, and everything else will take care of itself. Thank you. Go Hornets.
As I said before we started the night, this is truly about honoring 4 families that you can see have had a significant impact here in Richland Center, not only in the high school, but also in the community. You know, I didn't shoot them out earlier, but you know, the Mulholland family, the Muller family, the Vitesnik family, and finally the Wilson family. They have meant so much to this area and so much to this community and so much. I really want you to take time to read some of these plaques because we've stressed the last several years, and it was more so the honorees doing it than the board committee doing it, that, you know, write on the plaque what you want to write. And predominantly over the last several years, it's been more the honorees writing about how they felt about their families than because already the person who nominated already highlighted all their accomplishments. So read some of those plaques, you'd be surprised the special comments they made. I'm gonna read their names one last time, and then I'm gonna do a little housekeeping, and then we're gonna let you go. I'll read their names first. Again, we wanna congratulate Sarah Mulholland Smith, Katie Muller-Sweet, Daniel Vitesnik Wagner, and Garrett Vitesnik and Travis Wilson. Let's give them one last round of applause. One last housekeeping thing for the honorees. We're going to turn this banner around. Eric, who I didn't see earlier, and I apologize to Eric, but he's going to take some pictures. But feel free, everybody in the crowd, that's a chance for you to take pictures, and it's also a chance afterwards we get a few pictures that Eric wants. You can take as many family pictures as you want and enjoy the rest of the evening. Talking about the rest of the evening, first of all, I want to thank my fellow board members. You know, like I say, this is one thing that the Richland Center Athletic Booster Club is really proud of that we started. This year, I'm not going to read all their names, because I wasn't the only one involved here, but I am going to at least read the officers, because if I try to read all their, or list all their names, I didn't write them down beforehand, I'm going to forget somebody, so I got to just leave it first of all with the the officers. Right now, Tiffany Lemke is our president, Amy Forehand is our vice president, Bernadette Lewis is our secretary, and Sheila Buckholz is our treasurer. It takes an army, or well, they usually say that, a village, to make things happen. And there's 8 or 12 others running around here. They're manning the tables most of the night, housekeeping for them. It's now 7:45. At 8 o'clock, they'll finally shut down the silent auction. Get your last bids in there, bid high, go strong, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.